Drama, bin drama, Arab drama, ole drama, mto drama, zote pamoja. Ayayayayaya. You know, when these older Kenyans start to talk, many of our younger Kenyans have no idea who these people are or where they're coming from. And therefore, they're very quick to dismiss these people and what they're saying without even first listening. I believe this was the case early this week on Monday, when former Speaker of Parliament, Francis Ole Kaparo, released what I consider major bombshells. Everybody, or at least most people, focused on the headline, which was Francis Ole Kaparo abandons DP Ruto and now supports Raila. Yeah, because Ole Kaparo was the chairman of the URP party, DP Ruto's party. And most missed the main headline of Kaparo's remarks. On today's show, we will back up a little, and try and recapture what most Kenyans missed, because it is very significant. But before that, please allow me to give you a very brief heads up, 59 seconds, which is just an attempt to point you to some of the very valuable content hidden within this channel. Yeah, just take a look. I'll be back in a bit. Feeling discouraged and just about to give up? There was a time that the nation of Japan was in precisely that situation. But their turnaround was so spectacular that many people find it difficult to believe that a nation that is so rich today was very desperate not too long ago. Their main secret was in a killer strategy known as creative imitation. This is where you copy an idea and make improvements. The Chinese are using exactly the same strategy today, but focusing on making their products as cheap as possible. The great news is that you too can use the same strategy to change your situation in a very spectacular way. Watch the video now on the Kumekucha Chris channel on YouTube, which not only gives you more information, but reveals where you can get tried and tested ideas to copy immediately. When Francis Ole Kaparo took over as Speaker in 1993, after the December 1992 general elections, he was taking up the seat, the political seat in Kenya at that time, that was the hottest, moto kuliko pasi ya makaa. And for several reasons. This was the first multi-party parliament since independence. It was packed with opposition figures, including Raila Odinga and even his father, Jaramogi Oginga Odinga, James Orengo, Martin Shikuku, etc., etc. And on the government side, we had a KANU government that was prepared to do anything to hold on to power. And at that time, of course, there was a lot of pressure on President Daniel Toroitich arap Moi. And to many analysts at the time, it was very clear that this young new speaker, because he was the youngest speaker at the time within the whole Commonwealth, I believe he was about 42 years old. Many analysts believed that this young speaker had no option but to toe the KANU line. Otherwise, if he looked like he was going to side with the opposition, he was going to be toast. Everybody knew the way KANU operated, and many predicted he would be a KANU speaker, because in any case, he had been elected by KANU. All his votes came in from KANU. No opposition legislators had voted for him. But during his tenure, this gallant Maasai Kenyan did something that will continue to stand the test of time. Amid the very difficult, hostile environment within Parliament, Bwana Kaparo, with his order, managed to bring some semblance of order into the House and some semblance of unity. And the opposition legislators found out very quickly that Bwana Kaparo was not going to be anybody's sycophant. His rulings were always fair, very balanced. Now this is going to surprise a lot of younger Kenyans. It was during Ole Kaparo's tenure as Speaker that an impeachment motion against Moi, was brought to the House by Mwai Kibaki, seconded by James Orengo. And I can tell you, because I was around then, that impeachment motion was a big deal. The day when it was being debated in Parliament, many people missed work. But we ended up disappointed. The impeachment motion was defeated, mainly because some members of the opposition did not support it. But that's a story for another day. My point is, the fact that such a motion reached the floor of the House during the tenure of Moi tells you a lot about Bwana Kaparo. Because as Speaker, especially in those days, it was very easy to frustrate a lot of things. It was very easy to ensure that the opposition do not bring such a motion into Parliament. Anyway, now that we understand a little more about this Kenyan, let us just listen in for a few minutes to some of the remarks Ole Kaparo made earlier this week.
Laikipia ni kama Kajiado hii. Kuna kabila yote Kajiado hii. Hivyo Laikipia. Na mbona Kajiado hii hampigani? Laikipia ni kama Narok. Kuna kabila yote huko Narok. Mbona hawapigani kule? Sisi baada ya miaka 4 tunapita a session of violence, politically instigated. Na kabla hamjajua mambo inatusuru kule, kwendeni mkajue kwanza. Mwaweza kuzungumza hapa mkafanya watu wengi wapoteze maisha kule Laikipia. Na mimi si mgeni Laikipia. Wale wanazungumza hapa vikali about Laikipia, wengine wenu hamjakanyanga huko. Na wengine ni visitors, walikuja juzi tu. Hata tukawa wakarimu tukapatia madaraka. Lakini shungeni, kuna Wakikuyu kule, kuna Waturkana, kuna Wamasai, kuna Wasamburu, kuna Wakisii, kuna Wazungu, kuna Watugen, Kalenjin, kabila yote wako. Kuna Wapokot. Hawa ni Wakenya. Nao wote wanastahili kupewa haki yao na kulindwa vizuri. Mimi ni Masai. Na kama si Masai kamili najifanya. Kama mnapenda ng'ombe napenda. Na nashukia sana ng'ombe kuuawa. Lakini mbona mwataka kwenda kulisha ng'ombe yenu kwa mashamba ya wengine, mahindi ya wengine? Ng'ombe yao ni nini? Si ni hiyo mahindi? Kama unasikia uchungu ng'ombe kuuawa na yule mwenye mahindi yake imekuliwa na ng'ombe yenu, hasikii uchungu? Si ni Mkenya? Kama tunataka kusaidia huyu mzee, na nimekuja hivyo. Nimekuja kwa sababu nataka kumsaidia. Mimi si mtu wa ODM, wala mimi si mtu ya Jubilee. Mimi sina chama sasa, lakini niko na kura, lakini pia nina sauti na pia nina ushawishi, na nimekuja kutumia jina langu, sauti yangu, maarifa yangu kwa huyu. Na yule atakasirika atadu. Sasa wengine tuliwasaidia wakati ile ingine. Tuliambiwa tunatengeneza serikali ya wafugaji. Tukatembea Kenya mzima, sisi wafugaji, hata ng'ombe zetu tulikula. Baada ya hawa kukamata serikali, wafugaji walisaulika. Mimi nikawa moja yao ya kusauliwa. But I'm okay. And this is also a message I want to send to our politicians. And the message is this: there is life after politics. You don't have to kill people to get a political seat. You don't have to. You must allow Kenyans to live to vote for you alive, because dead people can't vote for you. And you must allow Kenyans to be alive to vote for you and to get the services you have promised to give them alive, not dead. Unasikia? Wamasai walisema hivi, ikienda kumalizia, fisi, si mnajua fisi? Fisi ako na ng'ombe, ako na mbuzi, ako na duka, ako na biashara. Fisi ana. Sasa Masai kauliza fisi, nawe fisi una hiyo vitu yote, wewe unatoa wapi chakula? Fisi akamwambia, chakula changu ni kingi. Yule mtu yote hasikii yale anaambiwa, anakuwa chakula yangu. Muamue kama mwataka kuwa chakula ya fisi. Na kama mwataka kuwa chakula ya fisi, msisikie maarifa mazuri mnapewa, mtakuwa chakula ya fisi. Mwisho, methali ya Kimasai walisema, kwa baba tamuldi ankik olenchata la uiruri. Yani unaona, sijui huko Nyanza kama umbwa wanakula mafi, manaka hapo Umasaini sama.
Now, what did Bwana Kaparo mean? What did Honorable Kaparo, former speaker, mean exactly? Especially when he said, you do not have to kill people to get elected. And he was referring to the Laikipia Manenos. Now, in case you didn't know, guess where Ole Kaparo's main shamba, his main farm, currently is? It is in Laikipia. And therefore, we can confidently qualify him as an insider. And what he's clearly telling us is that the troubles in Laikipia are politically instigated. Now, for those who've taken in my weekly intelligence briefings number 66, the latest, you'll be able to join the dots very easily. But just to give the rest of us a sneak preview, we said that what is going on, or what has been going on in Laikipia, would not have been sustainable without a financier. Somebody financing the bandits. Somebody financing the chaos. And we ruled out the Mzungus because we have seen, or at least some of us have seen, some spirited effort from some quarters to try and promote the idea that the Mzungu settlers there, big landowners, have something to do with the troubles. Anyway, in case you missed that WAB, it's not too late. I will give you details towards the end of our show today of how you can take advantage of a special offer and get hold of it. But for now, let's proceed. What we have here is an insider giving us information that we did not have before on what is really going on in Laikipia. In other words, for the first time, we have somebody telling us that the troubles there are directly linked to the upcoming 2022 general elections. Folks, let us not be naive. And I've mentioned this before on our Telegram forum, where I told my colleagues the following: politicians are not our friends. Let us get that right. Even when we're drumming up support for our favorite candidates, they are not, and they'll never be, our friends. The best we can do is to unite as voters and make a wise decision. Hii mambo ya kuwa naive itatupeleka vibaya sana. You know, in the KANU days, there's one thing we knew very well, that for most politicians, what they told us, what they said, was the direct opposite of what they were doing behind the scenes. When Moise KANU invented tribal clashes for political reasons, in the run-up to the first multi-party elections in Kenya in 1992, certain characters within the KANU party were talking peace, peace, peace when they made pronouncements. And yet in the background, they were financing and funding the chaos which were displacing Kenyans. Now, that was a long time ago, almost 30 years ago. But it seems watu wamesoma mpaka wakakuwa jinga. Because in my view, today's middle-class voter is a lot more naive. It is one thing not to understand, but it is quite another not to want to understand. And if you want to understand, then the remarks by this former speaker are very clear. And he compared Narok and Kajiado with Laikipia, asking the question, how come there's no problem in Kajiado? There's no problem in Narok, and the setup is exactly the same as what it is in Laikipia. Why? Politically instigated clashes. That is what Bwana Kaparo has clearly told us in plain English. It is. Now, while making these remarks, the former speaker was drumming up support from the Ma community for Raila Odinga, which tells us that Raila Odinga is not amongst the politicians involved in the problems in Laikipia. Now, I highly recommend that you take in my WAB number 66, because a lot of this stuff is very sensitive. Bwana Kaparo even warned us. He said, you can say something here, and it affects things in Laikipia negatively. Anyway, let's look at this political development away from the remarks of the former speaker. In 2013, Bwana Kaparo was on the side opposing Raila Odinga in the presidential elections of that year. Indeed, he was firmly in DP Ruto's camp. And by the way, I beg you not to be so naive as to believe Bwana Kaparo's voice is not influential amongst the Maasai community. Ati just because he's old. I would strongly advise that you do a little research on the Maasai community, if this is what you believe. And now Bwana Kaparo is fully backing Raila Odinga. That is major. That is significant. It means that a sizable chunk of votes will not go in the direction of the deputy president this time round. And whichever way you want to look at this, that is a very significant development. In my opinion, the most significant development so far in the run-up to the 2022 general elections, and especially presidential election. You see, the Rift Valley is huge, and many of us analysts like making very sweeping statements. Yeah, like the whole of the Rift Valley is locked for the deputy president. Well, this development, latest development, involving Honorable Kaparo, means that that statement going forward can no longer be accurate. Maybe the closest you can say is that a sizable chunk of the Rift Valley is for the deputy president. But you cannot say anymore that the whole of the Rift Valley is locked, yeah, as far as the deputy president is concerned. No, that would not be accurate anymore. That is how significant this is. Now, for those of us who have enjoyed this video, please remember to give me a like. And you can see on your screens right now, in case you've not yet taken in WIB number 6, and in case you're not a subscriber, you can see details on how you can join today. Yeah, you can take advantage of our current very special offer to become a member PUP. And this offer will not last for much longer. Yeah, just send a blank email to the email address you see, and you'll instantly receive an auto response giving you full payment details. I highly recommend it. Until next time, this is Chris Kumekucha.